I'm out of milk. Black Hawk Inn. Jane and Daniel. I like the kids. We got to get over this hedge.
You think I'm unpatriotic? Actually, that's called freedom of speech.
Well, I'm very against that. Man. I don't even know his name. Great guy.
Welcome to DCT. All right. Welcome to DCT.
Episode 8. Ben, what is the difference between an aardvark and an anteater? You'll find no help there.
I really don't know.
I think it's the raging political differences, but that's about it. Some very exciting news. Current event. WNBA draft.
Yeah, Mystics did well.
Had a lot of picks in that top 5.
Yeah.
So what do you think of their third overall pick being Sonia Citron?
I really like it. The Mystics are kind of a team that need kind of everything, just like the Wizards.
Yeah, in a rebuilding state.
Yeah, they added Citron, who is a 6'1" kind of hybrid between a shooting guard and a small forward. She looked great at Notre Dame this past year. She showed that she has that elite playmaking combined with defense. So just that 3-and-D player that the Mystics really needed.
Definitely an upgrade, and I think going to help everyone on the roster. So very excited to see her play for the Mystics. Now, with 4th overall, they go with the pick that I think we're both very excited about, Kiki Iriafen.
Yes, she really filled in for Juju Watkins in the tournament right after Juju got injured with that ACL. 6'3" power forward. Again, exactly what the Mystics need. You've got somebody that can score at an elite clip, but also rebound. And that's the main thing that I think Washington was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, averaging 19 points a game, 11 rebounds, really looks like she's just going to help the possession game that Washington really needs to improve on. So, yeah, really exciting. I think the Mystics did great, and I'm excited to see them play.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Now, let's get into the episode. We have a very fun one for you guys today. It's all playoffs. Both the NBA and the NHL are starting. I think the NBA starts on April 19th. NHL starts on April 20th. So we're going to do a little bit of a challenge here, Ben.
Yeah?
Go a little bracket challenge.
All right.
You're going to be doing the NBA since he's our resident NBA expert. And I'll be taking hold of the NHL. So we're going to be testing our ball knowledge now.
And puck knowledge.
So the way we've worked it out is we're going to predict the first round in this episode, and we'll carry on to the next round and so forth until we get to the finals. For every round that we get right, every series, you get 1 point. For every series that you get right and the number of games it will take to win said series, you get 2.
All right.
If you get a series wrong, you get nothing. Sound good?
Looks like you're going to get a whole lot of nothing.
I agree. Let's start off with the NBA.
Yeah.
And let's start off with the West.
All right.
So, who do you have when it comes to the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Grizzlies?
Now, this is assuming the Grizzlies get through that play-in tournament. I think they will as the 8th seed. But I just don't think they have enough to match up with the Thunder. These are both two younger teams. The Thunder won the season series 4-0 by an average of 18 points every game, so they really just dominated them all season.
Yeah.
And with the loss of Taylor Jenkins at coach for Memphis, I just think they're not in a great spot going into the playoffs, so I really just don't see them. They'd maybe take one game off of Oklahoma City, so I'm going to go with Thunder in 5.
Thunder in 5. You don't think John Morant has 2 games in him?
No. I mean, he might, but I don't think the rest of that Memphis team does.
Understood. Now, let's go on to the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors.
I'm really looking forward to this series. You've got the 2 versus the 7, which in most cases you think the 2 slips by real easy. But normally this 7 seed is not a Warriors team that has Steph, that has Jimmy Butler, that has Draymond Green. That last one was not as good as the other 2. But
no, but he's been there. You know, that's a locker room guy who's experienced those championships with Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant, so he's got a lot of experience.
4 rings under his belt.
Yeah.
So, and probably Defensive Player of the Year this year. But the Rockets' young core, I think, can compete. I think they'll all be close games. Every game they played this season so far has been. I just think the playoff experience of Steph, of Jimmy Butler, going to those 2 finals with the Heat, and Draymond Green, I just think they're going to overpower them since the Warriors got Jimmy Butler. They're 23-7 with 3 losses in the last 5 games. So,
and talk about an addition that's not short-sighted.
No.
That is something that is going to help you come the postseason. He's just a postseason performer. He almost waits to go in the playoffs. So, like you said, I think that's a great take. And how many games did you have him in?
Warriors in 6.
Warriors in 6. All right, let's move on. We have the Los Angeles Lakers and the Timberwolves.
This is a really tough one as well. But I do have the Lakers. I think that since they've gotten Luka, their defense has been spotty. Great in some games, terrible in others. When they started off their first 11 games with Luka, they were 9-2. So they looked like the number 1 seed in the West. But since then, they've lost to teams like Brooklyn. They've lost to Chicago twice, one of those being by, I think, 28 points. But Minnesota, Anthony Edwards is great. I don't think Anthony Edwards is great enough to carry them past a team like Luka and LeBron.
Yeah.
He probably will average like 35 points a game this series. But with the absence of Karl Anthony Towns on that team, I don't think Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert are enough to get them past the Lakers. So I'm going to go with the Lakers in 6.
Yeah, and like you said, they just haven't been able to replace the trade of Anthony Davis on the defensive end. And you're not going to, but they just look lost out there without him on the defensive end sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, who do you have for the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Clippers?
So you've got playoff Jokic versus playoff Kawhi.
It's a great series.
That is a phenomenal matchup. I think right now Jokic is obviously better, but Kawhi really just has that gear that he shifts when it comes to the playoff. Now, James Harden normally shrinks when it comes to the playoff, so he might be a negative in that aspect, but I just think the Clippers with Zubac, who's playing phenomenal lately, you've got Norman Powell, who's a most improved player of the year, most likely. You've got more pieces on Los Angeles, so I just think they win it. It's going to be very close, but I am going to take the Clippers in 7.
Yeah, well, their depth is scary, and I think that, like you said, really helps them out in this series. So that'll be a really must-see TV series.
Yeah, so after the NBA Western, let's go over the NHL. First series we'll talk about is Winnipeg versus St. Louis.
I think this is the best year for a Canadian team to win the Cup. I think you have teams like Winnipeg, Toronto, that have just found that gear that they've been missing. I think this series between the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues is going to be quick. The St. Louis Blues have been on a tear. They had a 10-game winning streak, but it was shut down by the Winnipeg Jets. When you look at the goaltending that they've had this year with Hellebuck, he's averaging a .924 save percentage. He's going to win the Vezina. He clears.
That's incredible.
The only goalie that's close is Logan Thompson and Vasilevsky. But you look at their defense, it's different. They don't have that in Winnipeg, in my opinion, compared to those other teams. I think Winnipeg has a great defensive core, but what Hellebuck's done is truly, truly impressive. He's a great rebound control goalie, and that's how all goals are scored in the playoffs. It's down low, greasy goals. I think Winnipeg takes this series, and I think they do it in 5 games.
Oh, quick. Okay. Maybe one that's a little bit more competitive now. Stars versus Avalanche.
This is going to be the best series in the West. The Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars hate each other, and I think it's going to be amplified by the Mikko Rantanen trade and him ending up with Dallas. But this series is so evenly matched. You have McKinnon, you have Robertson. You have Miro Heiskanen, and you have Cale Makar. You have Natchez. It's such an even series. The goaltenders in Jake Ottinger and Mackenzie Blackwood have the exact same save percentage of .912 as of right now. 2 games out from the end of the season. This series is going to be so evenly matched that it's going to be decided by the physical aspect. So I think if you are Dallas and you can get your Jamie Benns and your Matt Dumbas, your Mason Marchments to just hit, and control that puck in the offensive zone and hem in the Colorado defense, I think you can take this series. But it's going to go to Game 7, but I have Dallas taking it in 7.
Wow, 7 games. All right. Maybe another one that might be quick for you as well. The Wild versus the Knights.
I love the Minnesota Wild. I love what they bring. It's so fun to watch Kirill Kaprizov play, Matthew Boldy, but they don't have it when it comes to Vegas. Vegas is built for the playoffs. They've proven this since their inaugural season. This is what they do. It's what they wait for. They have players that sit on the bench waiting for the playoffs. You have Jack Eichel, who's proven to be a fantastic playoff performer, and that's a guy who played through so many injuries when they won the Cup against Florida. I just don't see any way the Wild even take a game. Maybe your goaltender can squeak one out for you, but it's just, the Vegas defense is so big, so large. They have such a tall group of guys back there. They make it so hard to get to those lanes that you need to score goals in the playoffs. I think they just box the Wild out and take the series in 4. I think it's a sweep.
Wow. Okay. Now, you've got McDavid and the Oilers versus the Kings.
3 things are certain in this world, okay? Death, taxes, and the Edmonton Oilers playing the Los Angeles Kings in the first round. It just happens every single year.
Yeah.
Now, the past 3 times in a row, the Oilers have won this series, but I think this year's different. I really do. I don't think the Kings are a team that people are expecting to pull off an upset, even though they're the higher-ranking seed.
Yeah.
They have found a diamond in the rough with Darcy Kemper. He's averaging a .921 save percentage this year. He looks like a different man. The entire team's roster has a combined plus-minus of plus 239. This is such a defensively sound team. I think they're going to have a very good time shutting down McDavid. You have Deneau over there, who's just fantastic at sticking to his man. You add the best home ice team with home ice advantage. I just don't see how McDavid and Draisaitl can do it. You never want to count them out, a team that has McDavid and Dry. But at some point, you can only carry your team so far before you have to check your luggage at the gate. I think the Kings win this series, and I think they do it in 6.
Okay. I like it.
Now, are you ready for the East?
Oh, yeah.
I know that in the NHL, this is a little bit more of an interesting conference, but I think in the NBA, it's a little bit weaker.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with a good series. Cavs versus the Bulls.
The Bulls have actually been playing really good basketball lately.
They have.
Josh Giddey and Kobe White have been playing like they're not, I think, third-year players. Vucevic, obviously, doing great there. I think they're going to win their play-in game so they can squeak into that 8-seed spot. I can't say enough good things about how I see the direction of the Bulls going. But Cavs in 4.
Yeah, I mean, this series is today. It's not tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the Bulls' future is bright, but the future isn't right now.
No.
Like you said, Cavs in 4. That's your first sweep.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
Now you have the Boston Celtics and the Orlando Magic.
So I've got my team, the Boston Celtics. But this Magic team is actually the one team from the play-in that I really did not want to face. I would have much rather played Trae Young and the Hawks. I would have much rather played the Miami Heat, who is struggling right now. This Orlando team is only this low because they've had quite a few key injuries this season. You've got a team led by Paolo Banchero, who I think at the end of the day is going to be a top 10 player in the NBA. Right now he's probably top 20. But you've got him with the surrounding crew of Franz Wagner. You've got Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony. This is a tough team to play.
Yeah.
And I think if they're playing any other team than Boston, it would be an upset. But the Celtics are just too deep.
Yeah.
They have the best starting lineup in the NBA combined with one of the best benches in the league. And they're that one team that you can plug in and they can defend anybody on the court. Porzingis, great at defending. Jaylen Brown, great at defending. Tatum, same thing. Their 2 guards are known for being the best defensive backcourt in the NBA. So I've got Celtics in 6.
It's a shame that this is a first-round series. Because like you said, I don't think the Orlando Magic's their roster has not been reflected well with their record.
Yeah.
I think this is a better team on paper than they've been able to show, and the playoffs are a new season. So you never know what's going to happen. It'll be a very good first round.
Yeah.
Now we have the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons.
Everybody I know is picking the Pistons for this series.
Really?
Yeah.
They have a great future.
They do. They've got Cade averaging 26, 9, and 6 this year. They've got Jalen Duren, who's been great with Cade on those lobs. They've got, funny enough, Tobias Harris has been great for them.
Yeah, turned it around.
Coming from that Sixers team, anyone can be great, though. But the Knicks, I think, just have too many pieces. They're playoff tested. Jalen Brunson averages, I think, 30 in the playoffs. Karl Anthony Towns fresh off a Western Conference Finals appearance from last year and only brought his averages up. And then that surrounding cast, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. I think it's just going to be too much for Detroit. Detroit's, I think, the second youngest team in the NBA, so to pair them up with a team like the Knicks, I think it's going to be the Knicks in 6.
Knicks in 6.
Yep.
I like it. Now, one of the most exciting matches, in my opinion, the Indiana Pacers and the Milwaukee Bucks.
Tyrese Halliburton has been one of, if not the most efficient player in the NBA since the All-Star break. He's averaging, I think, 21, 11, and 4 since then. And he has 5 games with 0 turnovers. That is incredibly impressive, considering the surrounding cast around him is not exactly
Stars or studs.
No. But they have a great lineup, and I think the Bucks have an inferior whole lineup, but I think Giannis is just going to use his star power to really just hammer home that 35, 13, and 6 a night.
He's one of the few guys who can carry a team
exactly
past an inferior roster.
I think there's him and Jokic, 1 and 2 in the league, and then there's a gap.
Yeah, there's a steep fall off.
Yeah.
And again, not saying that those players beneath them are bad. It's just a testament to how great these two are.
No, and last year, the Pacers did beat them. It was the same matchup last year, except the Bucks, I think, were the 3 and the Pacers were the 6, if I remember that correctly. But this year you got Dame out. Last year you had Giannis out.
Yeah.
It's
your X factor.
It's a big difference.
So it's an entirely different makeup at that point.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Bucks in 5.
Bucks in 5, really?
Bucks
you don't
in
think
5.
it'll be closer than that?
I think each game will be close.
But you think the Bucks take it?
But again, I think Giannis is just that difference maker.
Finds a way to get it done in that game. Understood.
So that's the NBA.
That's the NBA. I think this is going to be one of the best first rounds. But when it's the best first round, it's one of the hardest to predict.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult.
You have some wild card selections in there. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see how the Warriors do.
Yeah, so am I.
I think they have a chance. You convinced me.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters. Now, let's move on to the NHL. Let's finish out the East there.
Okay. So, NHL, first matchup we'll talk about is the Leafs versus the Senators.
The Toronto Maple Leafs are making it to the conference final this year. They have the best opportunity they've had in a while, but they got to get through Ottawa first. Okay? They have not beat Ottawa since it was socially acceptable to listen to Diddy. Okay, the last time they won was 2023.
Let's be honest. Was it ever really socially acceptable to listen to Diddy?
If you're in Toronto, maybe. Look, they have a much better roster than they've had in the past. And what I mean by that is they have found a goaltender in Joseph Wall. Okay, he has shown signs of greatness. His playoff performance has always been great. If you look at the numbers, he's got a .933 save percentage. If you're matching him up goalie to goalie, bar for bar against Ottawa Senators,
yeah,
Omark's been disappointing. He's got a .898 in the playoffs. And he's had some games with Boston. He's had 10 games. Wall's had 7. And Omark has not been that guy. And when he was on the Boston teams compared to Ottawa, he had a better team in front of him. So I don't see him playing better when it comes to this series. Toronto has turned back the clock with Tavares. He's averaging, I think he's at 74 points this season. Matthews looks healthy again. Marner's been playing out of his mind. So is Nylander. And you got Matthew Nyes. I think this team is going to go far, and I think the Leafs clear this series in 5 games.
Wow. That quick, huh?
And I don't think they stop there.
All right. Next series, the reigning champs, the Florida Panthers versus their in-state rival, the Tampa Bay Lightning.
When it comes to the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers, the Battle of Florida is just always electric. But you add Marchand to the mix, it's going to be mayhem.
Yeah.
Stuff is going to hit the fan. It's going to be an insane series. This is the epitome of goaltending. This is the cream of the crop. You have Bobrovsky versus Vasilevsky, 2 of the best Russian goaltenders ever to do it. You know, you have Bob, who's just a playoff monster, and he's proven that in the past. And then Vasilevsky, who's just casually rebuilding the Berlin Wall. I don't see how this doesn't go to 7, but I got to give it to Tampa.
Really?
Kucherov's had an insane year. He's going for the heart again. He's just been electric, and you just have so much depth. Hagel's been fantastic. All these players that they have, Cirelli, Hedman, they're just not going away.
Yeah.
And their coaching is the top. And that's why I hate that this is a first-round matchup, because I wish this could be a Stanley Cup final. You have just two such fantastic teams, but you need Matthew Tkachuk to get back. And without him, I just don't necessarily see this going in Florida's favor. I think Tampa takes it in 7.
7. Wow. Reigning champs out in round 1.
Yeah.
All right. Second to last one, we'll go with the Hurricanes versus the Devils.
The Hurricanes versus the Devils is a weird series.
Yeah.
Because I think the Hurricanes have underachieved this year. Aho's at a career dip in 74 points on the season. Jarvis has looked okay. Slavin had a fantastic tournament midway through the season with the Four Nations face-off. He's shown just how special he is come playoff hockey, because that's what they were playing. And New Jersey's without Jack Hughes. I think Carolina takes this series. I don't think it's going to be close. You don't really have a lot of comparables over in Jersey. Maybe your goaltending's better in Markstrom. He hasn't played that great this year, but playoffs are different. Jake Allen's been fantastic when they've played him. He's got a .914. But I just don't see the Devils getting past a Carolina Hurricanes team with Rob the Bod and without Jack Hughes. So, no disrespect, but I'm taking the Canes in 5.
In 5. Okay. Now, our very own Washington Capitals versus Montreal.
The Montreal Canadiens have a real good shot at upsetting Alexander Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals. But you have to beat them. And what I mean by that is that it's all great on paper. You've been hot coming into this. Cole Caulfield's been great against the Caps this season. He's got 3 goals in 3 games. He's averaging, I think he's got 5 points against us. Suzuki's been great. He's notched 4 against us. But at the end of the day, your goaltending isn't there. Yeah. If the Caps get to Sam Montembeault, if you get Wilson out in front, if you get Protas on the side, Ovi there in his little slot, I just don't see how they can outscore the Caps. Because if that's what you're trying to do as a young team, an explosive team like Montreal is, I don't know how you can beat the team who's second in scoring with 283 goals on the season. I think the Caps, if they get Logan Thompson back and Alexi Protas looks healthy again, I think the Caps take this series. And it's hard to say because I think it's going to be a good one. But I got Caps doing pretty well. You might have Marty St. Louis, but I got KGB, FSB, Russian Machine, Caps in 5.
All right. Pretty solid lineup.
I think it is.
I'm very excited for this playoffs, both NBA and NHL.
I'm giddy about it.
Josh giddy?
There you go. No, I think this, like we said, this is one of the hardest playoff series we've had in a while. And in the NHL, it's because there's been no parity this season. These teams that have made the playoffs, Ottawa, they were not expected to make it. Montreal sneaking in. This is an exciting year. So you've seen some dips in Vancouver. They were expected to make the playoffs, and they've turned into a tire fire. The Rangers, who won the President's Trophy last year, they're nowhere near it.
Yeah.
They might self-destruct. Rumor is that they're going to fire Peter Laviolette this offseason. So it'll be very interesting to see what that bench looks like.
Yeah.
And the roster. So in the NBA, it's been weird. We thought the Wizards were going to be easily top seed, but they've fallen from grace.
We did not think that.
So it's interesting. This will be a very exciting first round. I wish some of these matchups were further on.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
But it's going to be a great first round.
I'll do a little recap of our games so far. So NBA Western Conference, I've got Thunder beating the Grizzlies in 5. I've got Warriors beating the Rockets in 6. I've got Lakers beating the Timberwolves in 6. And I've got the Clippers beating the Nuggets in 7.
That's going to be such a great series.
Yeah. And then out west for the NHL, I've got Winnipeg beating St. Louis in 5 games. You've got the Stars beating the Avalanche in 7. Long series. You've got the Golden Knights making quick work of the Wild.
It's just not close. I'm sorry.
And then you've got the Kings beating the West reigning champs in the Oilers.
Yes.
In 6 games. Now in the East, I've got the Cavs making very quick work of the Bulls, 4 games. It's not even going to be a contest. I've got the Celtics beating the Magic in 6, much closer contest. The Knicks beating the Pistons in 6, and then the Bucks beating the Pacers in 5. All of these are subject to change. And then in the East, you've got the Leafs beating the Senators in 5 games, but it'll be close.
It'll be close.
Then you've got the Lightning beating the reigning champs in 7.
That's going to be a fantastic series.
The Hurricanes beating the Devils in 5. And then the Washington Capitals winning in 6.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with 6.
That East is going to be really close.
It is.
It seems like they've got a lot more.
I could see.
matchup.
It's funny. I could see any one of those teams, and call me crazy. I could see Montreal making a run.
Yeah.
They have a lot of the pieces that they made that run with, but they've added such great youth. Ivan Demidov, he's playing his first game tonight. He's already got a goal and an assist in his first 20 minutes in the league. So this is going to be a great first round matchup, but the Caps are going to be tested here.
Yeah.
A lot more than I think they were expecting.
Their rook is doing a lot better than our rook.
Yes. Ryan Leonard's not looked great, but nor have the Caps. They've hit a rut.
No.
They're struggling right now, and I'm interested to see how it works out for them. I think they're going to lose the first 2 games at home, but I think after that little kick in the pants, I think they're going to be ready to go.
Thank God the Blue Jackets didn't make it.
Hey, what did I tell you? I do not want to play a team like that. They murdered us. They had 11 goals in 2 games. We had 1. That was a rough showing.
Brutal.
It's just not working out for them right now. They need to find out what's wrong, and they need to fix it.
Yeah.
Or else this is going to be a first-round exit.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to do before we get to hot shots is I want to do a little dark horse pick.
Okay.
I want to see what team you think that people aren't expecting could go on a run and possibly win the NBA championship.
Ooh. The whole thing?
The whole thing.
I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Clippers.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've been very slept on this entire season, I think. You've got, as I said before, a most improved player candidate in Norman Powell. Ivica Zubac has been playing like a top 5 center, honestly. And then you pair those guys with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard. I'm very, very interested in seeing what Kawhi looks like. James Harden,
There's some reservations
not
there.
so much.
But if he can perform
Yes.
in the playoffs and turn the postseason into his regular season,
Yeah,
like you said, sky's the limit for them.
it'll be really interesting. I'm very excited. So, yeah, I've got Clippers.
Well, it's interesting that you picked a team from Los Angeles as your sleeper pick because I'm going to LA for mine.
You going to the
think
Kings?
I think the Kings have a very good shot this year.
Okay.
Similar to when they won the cup a little while ago with Jonathan Quick, when they beat out Vancouver, everyone was shocked. Mm-hmm. And I think you're going to see that this year. They have looked great. When the Caps played them, they played such a similar game, but they played it better.
Yeah.
They played our system better than we did. They've lost a few pieces in the offseason, but they've done really well with their goaltender pickup in Darcy Kemper. Byfield's really come into his own. He's looking fantastic. And Doughty hasn't aged.
Yeah.
He looks great out there. So you still have so many pieces that know how to do it and know how to get it done. I think these Rooks have really learned a lot. You have a great shutdown forward in Philip Deneau. I just don't see how they don't go on a run here. And to me, the West is wide open.
Yeah.
You got Winnipeg, but they have the President's Trophy curse. We'll see how far they get. And then after that, Stars Avalanche series, they're going to be beat up. Whatever team comes, struggling to walk out of that series, it'll be interesting. Vegas, I think, is going to be the top dog, but I think LA can do it.
Yeah.
So
We'll see.
I'm excited.
So you've got Kings, I've got Clippers.
Let's go LA.
I'll never say that. All right, we want to move into hot shot to finish off.
Let's go.
All right. You can ask the question first.
I'll ask my question first.
All right.
How many sweeps were there in the last NBA playoffs?
Oh, gosh.
How many sweeps in the last NBA playoffs? If you're wondering why this question is so rude and mean, it's because if you smell this sauce, you would die or spontaneously combust.
I'm having a hard time remembering the playoffs from last year.
I feel like it's growing in the bottle.
Do
you want me to give you multiple choice?
No, because you're going to be rude with that multiple choice. In the East?
Don't think too hard because you'll get it right.
In the East, the Celtics were the 1. But they went through their entire playoff run without sweeping anybody but the Pacers. I don't think the East has any sweeps.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go into the West, which is way Oh.
Oh, answers are changing, folks. Look at that mental math. Take your time.
I'm trying. It's difficult to think.
No, please. Do you want to give me your question so we both have time to think and ponder?
No, because I think you're going to get my question. Because I,
Secret-
unlike you, was not rude when making my question.
I'm so pale. This sauce, I'm flammable at this point. Secret aardvark. Any of you ever had secret aardvark? Have you ever had this?
I'm going with 2.
0.
Are you serious?
0. That's
No.
what Google said.
That's wrong. Because the Timberwolves swept the Suns last year.
All right, let me pour my shot of hot sauce. What's my question?
We'll fact check it later.
That's after Bryce dies.
So my question
Okay,
is going to
hold
be...
on. The fact that it's coming out slow tells me that you're not supposed to have a lot of this.
No, you're not. But you should pour a little bit more. That's like a... Yeah, you can... That's fine. That's fine. My question is, in the NHL postseason,
Yes, sir.
who are the top 3 point leaders?
In the NHL postseason?
Yes.
Why are you like this? What joy do you get? Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, he's one.
See, but this is where it gets tricky because now I'm thinking Montreal. I'm going far back to a team that won 26 cups because there were 8 teams in the league.
That would make sense.
This is brutal. I don't got this. I'll be honest.
You got
I
this.
just don't. I'm going to go Gordie Howe. I'm already
Okay.
out. I'm already out.
Yeah.
I don't want to go Super Mario. He didn't play enough in the playoffs. Yager did. But did he play enough in the playoffs? You're killing me. You're killing me, Ben. I'm going to go Gretzky. I'm going to go Super Mario. And I'm going to go Yager. No on all 3 or no on all 2?
Wayne, Mark,
Messier? I was thinking Mess.
and Yari Curie.
Yari Curry. That's just because he sat next to Gretzky his entire career. No, he's a fantastic player. That's a bummer.
Yeah. I kind of want to fact check that Suns one real quick.
If you want to go grab the phone, I'll allow it.
Okay.
Because I'll entertain our guests.
Okay, yeah. I'll go ahead and say that I was right with 2. Not only was there 1, but there was 2, which was my original answer.
Well, hold on and wait a minute. Did you say 2?
I did, yeah. I said 2, and you said 0.
Yeah, I felt pretty
The
confident in that.
Suns lost to the Timberwolves in 4 games, and
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to do a little veto and ask for mercy because smell this.
I've had it before. I know what you're in for. I used to put this on everything.
I'm not going to be able to brush my teeth for like 10 days.
can
There's
I
going to
have
be
this?
nothing left.
I love
Am I
it.
doing this? You
Yeah.
comfortable with that?
Can I add a little?
Don't you dare add more. Don't get a mustard seed in my sauce. Yep. No. Take it out. Take it. Lick it out, please. I'm not doing that.
That's not bad. Look
Ben.
at that, guys.
That's more than I do with the Tabasco.
All right, that's fine. You got it.
Well, you better have the outro prepared because is closing the eyes going to help?
No. It's not sensory deprivation.
You know what? Because I'm a genius, I'm going to do a little coding.
Cheating. No. Swallow. No.
It's coming.
Okay, so Bryce. Bryce is a literal cartoon right now. So, all right. Thanks for the playoff watch, guy. And we will continue the series for the next month. And we hope you guys have a great week. Thank you for watching DCT. We're going to go now.